A New York judge says he will make a decision, quote, very soon after Prince Andrew's attorneys argued to dismiss a sex trafficking lawsuit filed against him. Virginia Roberts Giuffre is accusing the prince of sexually abusing her when she was 17 years old. Giuffre claims she was sexually trafficked to Prince Andrew by convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein after meeting his former associate Ghislaine Maxwell. Last week, Maxwell was convicted on sex trafficking charges. Prince Andrew has repeatedly denied the allegations. On Monday, the judge released a 2009 settlement agreement between Giuffre and Epstein that shows he paid her $500,000 to drop the case. The agreement was made without Epstein admitting to any wrongdoing. The prince's lawyers say Giuffre's lawsuit against him violates the terms of this settlement. Her attorneys argue the agreement is irrelevant to her claims against Prince Andrew. Joining us now for more on this is CBS News foreign correspondent Holly Williams. Holly, break this down for us. Today's hearing largely centered on a 2009 settlement between Giuffre and Epstein that was released to the public on Monday. Can you explain the significance of this settlement and how it shaped the lawyers' arguments?
Yeah, Nikki, it's a pretty complicated case, and it's been going for a few months now since this lawsuit was launched. So just let me remind you where we're at exactly. Virginia Giuffre is one of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers. She says that he sexually abused her as a teenager. She also, as you just pointed out, accuses Prince Andrew of sexually assaulting her on multiple occasions when she was 17 and claims she was trafficked to him by Epstein. And she is now suing Prince Andrew. Now, the prince has not been charged with any crime. This is a civil suit. He denies Giuffre's allegations and he even says he has no recollection of ever meeting her. That's despite an image that appears to show them together. Now, in 2009, Virginia Giuffre reached a settlement with Jeffrey Epstein. He paid her $500,000 without acknowledging any guilt. That confidential agreement was unsealed yesterday, and Prince Andrew's lawyers argued at a hearing today that it protects the prince from Virginia Giuffre's lawsuit because of a paragraph in it that apparently shields, quote, any person who could have been included as a potential defendant from legal action. Now, the prince's lawyers argued that the language is very clear, very broad, and that it shields the prince. On the other hand, though, Virginia Giuffre's lawyers say this document was not intended to shield Prince Andrew, that it can't be used by Prince Andrew because of other sections within it, and that it may in fact have been superseded by a 2020 settlement between Virginia Giuffre and Epstein's estate. So there were some pretty complicated legal issues at today's hearing, but the key issue is whether Prince Andrew can in fact rely on that 2009 settlement that until yesterday was sealed.
As you know, today's oral arguments were the latest of several attempts from Prince Andrew's legal team to dismiss Giuffre's lawsuit. How might today's events have been either more or less effective than their other efforts?
You know, it's difficult to say at this stage. The judge has not made a decision, and from what he said at that hearing, it seems that might not come immediately. He told both sides to go ahead with the timetable that's already been laid out for this lawsuit. But to be super clear about what's at stake, if Prince Andrew's lawyers were successful today, then this case will be dismissed. If they weren't successful, then it moves forward.
Holly, how is this case being covered by the British media? You're in London. Tell us sort of what the feeling is over there.
Well, this scandal has been unfolding for many years now, and it's been covered extensively by the British media, including the British tabloid media, which has a famously kind of symbiotic relationship with the royal family. Royal coverage is really the bread and butter of the tabloid media, whether it's positive or scandalous, as this is. It really began when it emerged that Prince Andrew had not ceased contact with his former friend Jeffrey Epstein after he was first convicted in 2008. And we know that because they were photographed together in Central Park in 2010, and it emerged that the prince had actually been staying at Epstein's home. Then in 2014, Virginia Giuffre first made her allegations. They were strenuously denied by Buckingham Palace. Then in 2019, Epstein was arrested for a second time and died in a jail cell. Later that year, the Prince did an interview with the BBC, attempting to explain his behaviour, explain his relationship with Epstein, and to deny the allegations made by Virginia Giuffre. That interview was widely regarded as a disaster. It was widely described as a, quote, car crash. And shortly after that, the Prince stopped carrying out royal duties. He stopped carrying out the public duties that are normally carried out by a working member of the royal family. So regardless of what happens with this lawsuit, his reputation has been tarnished, probably irreparably. And in fact, a recent opinion poll here in the UK found that only 6% of people like him.
That is not a lot of people. Holly Williams in London, thank you for breaking down this tricky case for us.
Thank you.